Hey everybody, welcome back to another video of this wooden boat build. Everything's going really good. We worked on the transom some last episode. We're gonna work on it again today, get that finished up, and do some work on the frames as well. So let's get started. Okay, now I need to cut the transom on the table saw at an angle so that it will meet the bottom of the boat. How I'm gonna find that angle is just run this square up at this is 12 degrees that the transom will be mounted to the strong back, and I'm going to put just a protractor on there. Then I bump it up to the bottom of the keelson here and just tighten it down, and that'll give me my angle, which is 16 degrees. I'll set my table saw to 16 degrees and cut the bottom of the transom. Five, 10, 15, 17 degrees. Alright, so even though my batten is really long, at 16 feet long, it's still not quite long enough to reach all the way around the boat like I need it. I really need it to be quite a bit longer, so I'm going to add another 4 or 5 feet to it, and I'm going to scarf joint this thing. I've never done one on something this thin before, but I'm just going to take my hand plane, shave it, you know, like a wedge, and both wedges, and then glue them together. So let's give it a shot and see if I can make this thing longer. I want to stop real quick and tell you about the sponsor of this video, which is a company called Bespoke Post. Bespoke is a really cool monthly subscription club. It's tailored towards guys, and when you go and sign up, they'll take a short lifestyle questionnaire so that they can get to know you and your interests, and based on those, each month they're going to pick and send you one of their boxes that are filled with some really cool high quality items. They pack at least $70 worth of stuff into those boxes. Oftentimes it's worth much more, and they'll let you know what they plan on sending beforehand so that if you don't like a particular box, you can always swap it for another one or even skip that month. I went and picked out a couple boxes that interested me. One of them had a beautiful Damascus knife that I've been carrying. The other had this really cool survival type knife that I plan on keeping in the boat once it's finished. Another thing that I plan on using it for is helping me with gift ideas. They basically do all the work in creating some really cool packages that will be perfect for giving out as gifts. So I'm going to save some of those for different guy family members I have and give those out for Christmas and birthdays. There's a link down in the description, and if you use the code COAST20, you'll get 20% off the first box. Thanks to Bespoke Post for sponsoring this video. Alright, so the next thing I need to do is bevel the bottom of these frame members so that when I bend the plywood across the bottom later on, I'll have a nice flush fit. You can see when I bend this batten down that I need to take off that edge so that it'll become flush, and that is 16 degrees. This one's 9 degrees. This one's 2 degrees. Across the middle here, they're completely flat, and then they taper back down towards the back. And I'll just use a hand plane to do those. I thought about trying to use a table saw, but I think it won't be too much work with a hand plane. Then I also need to cut out a section in the middle of all of these frame members for the keelson to sit and mount. And again, I'll have to bevel the inside edge of that groove for that keelson so that it matches that angle. So we'll get started doing that. All right, so now I need to cut a channel in the transom right here where the keelson will mount to, as well as all the frame members. And what I'm going to do first is cut the back of the transom at the proper angle. So I got the angle gauge for my transom here, and I just transfer that line over here to the transom, or to the keelson, and I'm going to cut that off. I think it's around 16 degrees. And then I'll also be able to use that scrap piece to fit this transom slot that the keelson will go into. And I want this one to be really nice and tight and flush. And on the other ones, there'll actually be a 1-inch gap wider than the keelson on both sides to let water run back and forth in the bottom of the boat and get to the, shoot, what are those called? The plugs. Yeah, the drain plugs. So that's what we're going to work on this morning. I'll be using a router on this, and haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do for all these since they're angles on the bottom. Hi, Oots. What you doing? It's hot, huh? All right, now I have the keelson fitted to the frame. I have my slots cut out for drainage of water and everything. Everything's fitting, looking really, really good. And it's nice and fair, or trued. And the boat building, they call it fairing. So you want to make sure all your angles are matched up. And you can kind of see in there, my frame member is nice and flush and maintaining the same angle as the keelson. Everything's looking really, really good. Now I have this long, skinny batten clamped on here where the front of the boat is going to be. And I know here in the middle, the beam width or the bottom width is going to be 56 inches on this boat. I have a nail in there that batten is stretched across, and I have it clamped to my transom back there. Now I can take a pencil and go through and mark. See, I need to be to the inside. Make marks on all these, right where this thing is, and that'll make sure I'm nice and fair to the shape that the outside of this boat needs to be. And then I'll put my angles on for the sides of the frames.